Chapter 5. Their mother meets Astra and Rosner on the porch, her arms crossed and her face strained with a mother's sadness. She knows what happened. As the two walk up the steps, their mother takes Astra gently by the shoulders and leads her inside, saying, "Let me clean you up." For a moment, Kodoric, who followed their mother out, stands in silence next to Rosner before both of them wander in. There have been several occasions where the three of them have asked why Halcro does what he does, but they all result in the same answer. He has no one to guide him. No one knows if his parents passed or if he ran away. What they do know is he makes his home wherever he rests his head at night. After Astra is clean, the mother turns to Rosner. "If you would be so kind." She grabs his hand and places a few talons in it. "Go and grab some meat from Casper." Rosner drops the talons in his pocket, but does not move. He looks up at his mother, who gives him a forced smile. In a weak voice, she tells him, "Come on, my little helper." At this point, he is not sure which of the two the comment is supposed to encourage, but he offers a forced smile in return. Then he heads out the door. The day still holds a few hours before the life-giver bestows her kiss. Despite the light breeze caressing the trees and the lateness of the day, her radiance is overwhelming. Sweat appears on his brow, and he has not even left the property. As he walks away from his house, he thinks back to earlier. Why is it Halcro chooses them, of all people, to pick on? Rosner picks up a stick and examines it. When he believes it to be of his liking, he continues, swinging it as he goes. Halcro seems to only fancy picking on him and Astra. He does not understand it. It is just not... Crack! Rosner stares at the broken stick with surprise. He glances at the tree that now has some bark chipped off, then back at the stick. Maybe he should not vent when holding things. He tosses the remainder of the stick into the woods, then walks on. As he does, Rosner glances at the castle. Despite him cutting himself a few weeks ago, his leg tingles whenever he looks at the structure. It is a constant reminder that whatever happened was not normal. Not wanting to dwell on it, he runs the rest of the way to Casper's. When he opens the door to the butcher's shop, the castle rests in the back of his mind. His mom wants meat, so that is what he will focus on. He calls out to Casper. The big man remains silent as he wraps something in cloth behind the counter, his back to Rosner. Strange. He tends to make a snide remark whenever Rosner rushes in. And this is not the only thing off about him. His movements are slow, and he seems thin. Very thin. Concerned for his friend, Rosner walks over to the counter to ask after his health, but when he gets there, his words get stuck in his mouth. Casper has lost weight, and not in the "he lost a few pounds" way. It is closer to an animal stripped of everything but bone kind of way. His slow movements are stiff, as if his body is difficult to move. "Hey, Casper?" Rosner asks, his words edged with concern for Casper, as well as a little for himself. "Are you doing all right?" When he is greeted with more silence, Rosner fishes some talons out of his pocket and puts them on the counter. The coins ring out louder than he expects as they strike each other in the wood surface. "Here, I have the coin. Now, can you turn around?" After a brief second, Casper finally turns around. When he does, Rosner finds himself regretting the request. He is right about Casper's health and weight loss, although it is highly understated. His eyes sit deep in their sockets. Almost no color touches his skin, which sags everywhere. His newborn sheep belly is flat. Rosner cannot help but think that if he hit Casper with that stick instead of the tree, he would have broken a few of Casper's bones. It is almost as if the man had died and returned to the world of the living. When he makes eye contact with the butcher, a chill runs up his spine. Rosner has never seen evil before, but he's pretty sure he knows what it is now. Anger and hatred stews in them like nothing Rosner has ever witnessed. He cannot help but feel it is all directed towards him. Instead of saying anything or striking him, however, Casper slides a piece of meat wrapped in cloth to Rosner and takes his money. For a moment, Rosner stands there, unsure on whether to leave or try and talk to him more. As the silence grows, however, the urge to leave wins. He takes the meat and turns his back on Casper and heads for the door. After only a few steps does Rosner realize his mistake, turning his back on the remnants of his friend. He does not even hear the man move, yet now a skeletal-like hand wraps its skin-coated bony fingers around his shoulder. The frigid touch sends chills up his spine. Fear envelops him as he turns back around. As Casper comes into view again, he smiles. The smell of death fills Rosner's nostrils, making his head spin. He tries to run, but despite Casper's frail appearance, he holds Rosner firm. He feels his entire body grow weaker with every passing second. Before long, his knees buckle. Rosner manages to avoid crumbling to the floor, but he still drops a knee and plants both hands in front of him. Resisting the fall almost makes Rosner pass out, but he does not move. And just before his whole body gives up, everything stops. The sudden release drops Rosner to the floor. As he tries to control his rapid breathing, he realizes Casper's hand is no longer on his shoulder. In addition, the smell of death no longer penetrates his sinuses. Afraid of what he will see, Rosner stays on the ground until something firm taps his shoulder. Rosner glances behind him. The shock of who stands there paralyzes him. Leaning on a walking staff and peering down at him is a village's old man. Why is he here? Rosner looks at Casper for some sort of answer. Despite what happened moments ago, he still knows Casper more than the old man. He quickly realizes, however, that he will not be getting anything out of the butcher. Not that he would have, anyway. Instead of staring at him with hunger and death, Casper looks at the old man with tremendous fear. Rosner receives another tap on his shoulder, turns back to the old man still staring at him. Even with a slight hunch, he stands about Casper's height. Long silver hair sprouts from his face and head down to his waist. His skin appears frail and wrinkled from age. However, his eyes hold a youth to them despite the orange hatred raging within. They faintly remind him of when the life-giver rises or falls. Wrapped around him with more patches and faded areas than original material is a simple brown robe. Without taking his eyes off him, the old man slowly nods his head to the right. Afterwards, he takes a few steps towards Casper, placing most of his weight on the long staff. The wooden stick sends off a harsh echo with every strike against the planked floor. When Rosner does not move, the old man stops. He makes the same inclination as before. Suddenly, Rosner understands. With one last quick glance at Casper, he bolts past the old man and runs out the door. Once outside, Rosner slows to a stop in the middle of the street. As he breathes in fresh air, his mind starts to turn. He looks over his shoulder at the shop. As he does, one question comes to mind. Why is Casper afraid of the old man? He knows everyone in the village tries to keep their distance, but they treat him more of a nuisance not the harbinger of death. Determined to find answers, he walks back across the street and peers through the window.